This is Talk, the home of common sense. Not much common sense involved yesterday in the Just Stop Oil protest at Stonehenge, the incredible, amazing 5,000-year-old landmark, a National Heritage Site, a World Heritage Site, was damaged, attacked by two Just Stop Oil campaigners who sprayed powder paint on the historic site just at about midday yesterday. We were talking about it live on air yesterday. I had to beat myself out. I was so cross about it. We're told by English Heritage actually not too much damage has been done. Just Stop Oil insisted, oh no, not an issue, because they deliberately used paint that would wash off effectively. But what on earth are they doing, and what cause do they think they're really perpetuating? Well, let's talk to a Just Stop Oil activist, Ella Ward. She's also an activist with Youth Demand, and she joins us now. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Julia. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks very much for joining us. I mean, what purpose does this serve? These sorts of protests, whether it's damaging or attacking artwork or books or historic buildings or statues, or whatever, attacking. I mean, a beautiful, amazing, significant World Heritage Site, part of our history. What purpose are you trying to serve? You and your colleagues.
So, like you said, Julia, I'm from Just Stop Oil, and we're calling on our government to have to sign up to an international legally binding treaty to end fossil fuel burning and production by 2030. And I think this Stonehenge protest is really interesting because a lot of us have this very visceral reaction to it, and we were really angry, like you said, that anyone would damage something that stood for 5,000 years. And I think we responded in that way because we know that it's precious, and we know that this earth is precious, and that we need to be preserving the natural world, and we need to be preserving
by
these
spraying
wonderful
paint on
achievements
it
by human civilization. And by putting a little bit of orange cornflower on it, which is going to cause absolutely no lasting damage, we've really highlighted this hypocrisy that we care more about some stones than we do about protecting everything, because we stand to lose absolutely everything.
We stand to lose. Now, this is the thing, Ella. Okay, fine. There wasn't any damage this time. There's been damage before to paintings, soup thrown over things and the like. But again, we stand to lose everything. We don't. I mean, no one sane who knows anything at all about climate change or any concerns thinks that we stand. The world isn't burning. It's not on fire. It's not going to go underwater. Humanity is not going to die. The world isn't going to die. This is all hysterical nonsense.
Well, at the moment, right now, Julia, 1 in 7 people in the US are living under a heat dome, which is extreme life-threatening heat.
And yet they'll carry on living. It's no hotter than it normally is in a lot of those states. They've survived these temperatures for hundreds of years.
Julia, I don't really understand how we can have this conversation if you're going to deny the existence of climate change. If you're going to deny the existence of
climate exists, climate changes. So yes. We're also at the end of an El Nino. You know all of this stuff, but you ignore all those things. It's this idea that even if I accept your extrapolations on this, the Earth isn't going to end, humanity isn't going to end, natural world isn't going to end.
Julia,
that's
this isn't
hysterics.
Me saying this as an individual.
Who
this
is
coming from the UN.
Yeah, I know.
From the World Bank, the International Energy Agency.
The World Bank,
Antonio
they must
Guterres,
know. Greta, you forgot Greta.
Top scientists saying if we don't take immediate action, then we will face the collapse of everything.
I hate to tell you this, Ella. We've been told for quite a long time we've been at a tipping point, and we should have taken action before now. I think we should all relax. If the world's going to end, it was already going to happen because we didn't take action when you guys were running it first. Let's come back to the fossil fuel issue. You want an international emergency treaty to end fossil fuel use, basically all fossil fuel use by 2030. This isn't about not being allowed to buy a diesel car in 2030. This isn't about having to use solar power panels on your house. All fossil fuel use ended by 2030. Tell me what you think the impact of that would be on people's everyday lives.
So we acknowledge that this will be it will require an emergency response, and it will require a massive change in the way that we live our lives.
Tell us the impact.
However.
No, not however. What will the impact be of people not using fossil fuel in 2030? Tell us what the impact would be. What would your everyday life be like and mine?
What will the impact be if we keep using fossil fuels?
No, that wasn't the question,
I think that's a better
Ella.
question. Because if we do that, we will face collapse of the NHS.
We're all going to die.
Face collapse
We're all going
of
to die.
social services.
Yes. We're all going to die. What is the impact? 2030, us no longer using fossil fuels.
So this has been detailed quite heavily on the Just Stop Oil website, and I encourage anyone that's listening.
So tell us. You must have read it. You're an activist.
Things like funding free public transport. It will include insulating homes. There's a lot more steps to this, but you're absolutely right.
No, Ella, with all due respect, you're not answering my question. If we don't use fossil fuels, we can't build anything anymore. That requires it. We won't be able to operate trains. Most of our cars won't operate, including, by the way, the electric cars, because electric cars are actually, by the way, they're made using fossil fuels, usually in factories on the other side of the world who use fossil fuels to make them. We won't even be able to keep the lights on most of the time, put heating on. We won't be able to have aircon when it's hot, when we're burning. We won't be able to heat our homes when it's cold, when, by the way, more people die by a factor of 9 to 1. We won't be able to get planes. We won't be able to travel anywhere. I don't know how we're going to be running ferries and boats so we can travel at all. We won't be able to have mobile phones. We won't be able to have cookers. How do you think life is going to be in 2031, or even indeed 2 days after we stop using fossil fuels in 2030? Because you seem to be very blasé about that. What you're looking at is turning us back to pre-industrial revolution times, when life was really bloody hard.
Well, Julia, you're forgetting that renewable energy exists, so we absolutely can still have energy. But
no, clarify. So let me clarify. Do you know how much the percentage of our actual energy use is renewable energy at the current time, and how much you predict it will be by 2030?
I'm aware that it needs to increase, and this is why we need an emergency plan right now in 2024.
It's not even all of our 20% need for electricity. So what are you going to do for the rest of it?
Julia, this is why we're calling on our government to enact this emergency plan to stop the burning and use of fossil fuels by 2030. This is why we need an emergency plan.
You think we're going to be able to replace all of our fuel needs by 2030? It's 2020. We're halfway through 2024. You think by 2030 we'll be able to replace all of our fossil fuel needs with renewables?
It's absolutely an ambitious plan, but the alternative is accepting that we're going to be facing mass death.
We're going to face. So remind me, how are we facing mass death? Remind me, how are we facing mass death if we don't do this?
Well, basically, there's a climate crisis, and we're pumping carbon dioxide into the atmosphere, which is heating the planet to unlivable temperatures.
Unlivable temperatures. Nothing in the IPCC report says that.
It does. It talks
about it doesn't. No, it doesn't. Nothing in the report say that.
There's temperatures that humans can grow food inside of, and they can survive within.
There is nothing whatsoever predicting any of that. I mean, you need to read up on this thing you care so strongly about, Ella.
Julia, we know for a fact that if we keep heating the planet in this way, there will be massive crop failure. This is already
actually, as you say, the planet is warming. We've had higher crop yields in recent years with a warmer planet. Funny that, isn't it? I just like to say, come on any time. But I do think you need to read up on the subject, which is something you've been arrested, you've even been convicted a few times. You care so strongly about this topic that you know absolutely nothing about, which I find extraordinary.